Buenos dias, everybody. I hope you're all in high spirits, enjoying health, and feeling blessed. I want to talk about LatinX today. I know it's not a popular term in with a lot of raza, and I heard it framed differently on Sunday. I went to a lowrider event that the Sacramento lowrider community puts on. They do an excellent job of it. They very well organized. They advertise it. It's um, it's a wonderful family oriented event. First time I went, streets were packed with people, enjoying music, enjoying food, enjoying lowriders, enjoying ballet folklorico, mariachis, a lot of things from our culture. And everyone seemed to have a good time. It went off without a hitch. So then everybody was looking forward to the second annual. And I believe it was postponed twice because of what insurers would call an act of God: COVID, wildfires, etc. And so this past Sunday was the date for the second annual one. And again, I think the lowrider community has been phenomenal in, I would say, being advocates. They have advocated to have some legacy racism overturned, specifically with the cruising laws. And they built bridges to wealthy communities where the lowrider community likes to gather at the park. And there's been a mutual support there. So that's really wonderful to see. And there's even a local elected official that I'm hard on all of them, and I think she deserves a lot of props for this. So there's all that. Um, the event was Sunday, as mentioned, and it rained, which I believe scared off some participants. You don't really want to get water on old cars. It can get into certain places, start exacerbating rust. Um, Other folks maybe thought there would be less cars there, and I didn't see the crowds I saw the first time, despite the incredibly good organizing, promoting of this event. And a lesson there was that sometimes you can do everything right and it still doesn't work the way you want it. That said, while at the event, I met this lady who was there doing civic duty. She wasn't there um, as a participant enjoying the day, she was there for civic duty. And she started telling me that she's always identified as Chicana. And she never mentioned, being of Mexican descent. Um, for her, it was framed almost exclusively as a political identity. She even made the point to say people assume that driving a lowrider and being in a gang means Chicano, and it doesn't. It means a political activist. These were her words, and she was very adamant about it and proud of her civic duty. And she said that the word, when they embraced it, was actually bringing people together in this activism. They were rallying around this word as activists. And then, with what I can only describe as this genuine joy at a revival of that activism era she experienced, she said, you know, and now it's Latinx. And she said it with a smile full of passion. She goes, that's the word that brings us together now. That's the word that advocates and activists rally around, like we did with Chicano back in the day. And I'd not looked at it that way. Being cynical of government, I thought it was a word that maybe they had coined so that when they do request for proposals, which is them asking people to submit grant applications to carry out some of the work the government wants to accomplish, it's easier for them to say Latinx and just refer to all brown people as opposed to having to list each ethnicity in the request for proposal. And that was a very narrow view that I had. And then in the YouTube true crime genre, there's a almost knee jerk reaction to the word Latinx. That there's I'm not Latin, I'm not Latinx, and I didn't identify as it either. I didn't see that, but just seeing the the the, the lady speak what was in her heart and speak so fondly of that word, Latinx, and saying that's the word that unifies us now. And Latinx does encompass Mexicans, Salvadoreños, Guatemaltecos, gente from Belize, Costa Rica, Central America, South America, Mexicans. We might not all have the same plights, the same histories, but insofar as being in this country, we do experience a lot of the same things. And I do see activists adopting the term as part of the jargon of activism. So when I go back to, what I thought it was, a word that government collected to facilitate requests for proposals, the people submitting those proposals are usually advocates, even if in name only, who are submitting grants to do community work. So the folks that do use that term the most tend to be the people that are working under a nonprofit or as director of a nonprofit for communities. And that gave me a new way of looking at it. It is a term that encompasses everybody insofar as brown folks, with the exception of the people who just reject the term. But if an activist said, I'm activating for Latinx folks, whether you like the term or not, they mean they're advocating for you if you're a brown person. And so, not one for ethnic pride myself. I don't really have, just don't call me late for dinner. That's it, and so I just wanted to put this, shine this light on Latinx as it was presented to me this past Sunday, and presented to me with like a real joy at where activism and advocacy seems to be going. To this woman, Latinx represented a revival of the Chicano movement. It was uniting people from, again, Central America, Mexicans, and other places under this banner of activism and advocacy. I did raise to her the concern that I saw a disconnect between the advocates who identify as Latinx and the lowrider community that was out there that identifies as Chicano. And I did point out to her, the successes they had accomplished this year with, overturning the ordinance, building those relationships. And so, righteously so, I think the lowrider community are advocates. I do think they're being activists for their community. Does it necessarily entail the entire brown community? Maybe not. but they are activists and they are helping segments of the brown community. Um, Whether they adopt Latinx or not, that's people's choice. And like I said, I didn't identify as Latinx, but hearing this lady frame it that way, I don't think I have a big aversion to it anymore. If that is what helps people from other um, countries that are brown, that speak a shared language, to identify with me, I'm okay with that. It's I don't know. I think that lady helped me just see it in a new light, and part of that again was just the genuine joy she expressed when she said, and this is how she said, I'm well, technically I might be a professional actor now, um, but I'm really not. I'm not trained in acting, but this is how she said it. She said, and I'm a Chicana. That meant political activist. And now, she goes, that word brought us together. It unified us. And now, that word is Latinx. It's unifying us. It brings us together. She said it with such conviction that I believed her. And because I know that a lot of folks in, certain genres of YouTube don't like the term for their own reasons, I just thought I would add this positive light that was shined on it that, I haven't shined on it before or expressed, but because someone felt that way, and I think it was important and they're a part of the community, I wanted to share how they framed it. With that said, much love, and I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I hope I can go back to sleep. Have a good one.